Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, as you guys can tell from the title below, I have a very overdue DIY video for you guys. So as you guys can see here, this is my old mannequin which had completely fallen apart, and I was feeling a bit just uninspired and didn't feel like sewing because my mannequin was just a mess, and I was overdue for a new one as I had had this one for years. But the resizable mannequins go from 100 to 200 pounds, and your girl ain't got the coin to be splashing out that type of money on a new one. So in today's video, I thought I will show you guys how I made my own custom fit dress form slash mannequin, as I did originally by accident buy this mannequin a little too big for me, and I wanted it to fit my body perfectly. So in order to resize the body of the mannequin, I had to completely strip it down. So I just removed the body cover of the mannequin. Then moving on to the tools I used to reshape the mannequin, I just bought this kind of jagged knife from the hardware store, some little bolts and some coarse sandpaper. So the little nut bolts were for the legs of my mannequin, as they had completely fallen apart and they could not stand up by themselves. So I decided to buy a pack of those in order to fix it. So I'm just taking the stand of my mannequin and then 1/3 of the leg, and then taking the little nut bolt that I bought, I'm just going to screw that in like so, and then I'm just going to repeat that step with the other two. So all the bolts of the leg have fallen off except one, which was thankfully really good for me as I was able to find the right size in order to buy the pack. So I did screw these in with my hands and got a splinter in the process. So I do kind of suggest that you guys use an actual proper tool in order to secure them in place and make sure that they don't move. Okay, so once I finished with the legs, I moved on to the body of my mannequin, which was the messiest part of this whole DIY. So of course I put down newspaper. I was going to do this outside to save cleaning up all the mess, but it was freezing and that was not happening. So the first thing I did was measured around the waist, and the waist was about 3 inches bigger than my waist. My waist is a 26-inch waist, and I think that waist was about 28.5. So I just took my coarse sandpaper and began to kind of file down the polystyrene, because this is what the mannequin form is made of, and I just repeatedly did that all the way around to make sure it was even, and just kept going until I was kind of happy with it, and I kind of just eyeballed it, as you guys can see, and it just made a complete mess. And then I would just keep measuring it and filing, measuring it and filing until I was happy with it. Then I just repeated the same steps further down the mannequin, just around the hip area, as it was a little too wide as well, and my hips were about a 36 I think, and the hips were about a 38, a 39. So I just did the same steps, just measured my waist, and I was pretty happy with that once I was done. And then I just did the same thing on the hips, as you guys can see. And yeah, once I was happy with it, I was done. So once I was done with all that, I just placed it back onto the stand so I could properly have a look at the size of it and make sure that it was even. And then once I was done with that, I had the fun part of cleaning up. And if you guys can see, I was a state. The room was a state, it was a mess. And if you guys follow me on my Instagram stories, I showed you guys how bad it was, but you guys didn't actually know what it was. So this is what it was. So yeah, that took me a good hour and a half to clean all that up. So moving on to the skin cover of the mannequin, I just took an old top that I found lying around my house and decided to put it onto the mannequin inside out, and I just cinched in the side, just a little on each side, as it was a little stretchy and I wanted it to fit perfectly. So as you guys can see here, I just cut off the sides of the arms like so. I tried to get it as straight as possible, but since it was pretty stretchy, it was kind of hard to do so, but you guys can basically see what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to sew that shut, and then in order to get the top half of the skin, I'm basically taking the sleeve of the top and then just placing that over the neck of the mannequin, and then I'm just using the seam of the side of the sleeve as my center line through the back of the skin, and then I'm just going all the way around the neckline and then pinning it in place. So once I was done with that, I had something that looked like this. So I'm just going to go to my sewing machine and sew all the way around my neckline and sew up my side arm seams. So with my side seams and armholes, I just did a straight stitch, and then I decided to go over the sides with a zigzag stitch. If you guys have an overlocker, then by all means use an overlocker, but at this moment in time I do not have one, but that's what I used. Then all I had left to do was to add the elastic at the bottom of my top. So I just took the measurement from the existing skin that I had on my mannequin, and then just created a circle, and then just made my elastic into 4/4, and then stretched my elastic accordingly around my top. So all I had left to do was turn my skin right sides together and place it onto my new mannequin, and I was done. So yeah guys, the before was pretty much a mess. The holes in the skin from the previous mannequin was a result of a little project that I was draping on my stand, and I literally had to cut it off my mannequin because my mannequin was too big. So the after, if I do say so myself, came out pretty well. I was shocked that I can actually make a skin. It was actually really simple, and you guys can literally do this with any tops or fabric that you find lying around. You can do it in so many different types of styles and colors, and yeah. Now that I've got my mannequin sorted out, hopefully I can get the ball rolling with my DIYs again. For those of you that have missed them, there are a few more coming soon, so stay tuned for those. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, if you're new to my channel. And if you'd like to keep up with me and see what I'm doing, you can follow me on my social media. I'll leave all the links to it down below in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.